He would refuse to take his medications, and I said, "That's it, Brian. I'm not talking to you today." So I leave him, and he said, "Okay, okay. Just because I like you as my doctor, I will take my meds. Come back. Let me watch you. Okay, go take your meds. So there's a certain art in letting your patients do this. Sometimes I would say, well, you know that I'm a good psychiatrist, but I can only be good as far as you let me. If you don't tell me what the real issue is, you don't really tell me how much cocaine you're doing, how the hell will I help you?" I said, and that, I have these teenage patients who sit down beside their father and spit at their father. "Oh, you don't do that. Not in my office." And they say, "Oh, the hell I won't." Okay, spit. I hand them this tissue paper. "Wipe your father's face." I said, "You don't wipe his face and apologize to him. You have just assaulted your father. I'm taking you to jail." So I can call the police and sometimes put him in jail. There are times, though, that I get a call from this mother at 3 o'clock. "Dr. Cabuso, remember Craig?" "Yeah, what happened to Craig? It's 3 in the morning. What happened?" "Well, he was walking outside the house, and you know how young he looks. He's 19 years old, but they thought he was 15, so Wheaton police got him. Please take him out of jail." So I go there at 2:30 in the morning, at 3:30 in the morning. I said, "Officer, I'm Dr. Cabuso." I showed my credentials. I said, "May I take my patient? May I take my patient out of the jailhouse?" He said, "He doesn't deserve that. He's really 19 years old." I pass by my office, take the chart of my patient. So you can choose as a psychiatrist to go out of your way. But I certainly would not be able to sleep with my patient in there when he didn't deserve to be there. So I said, "Well, officer, I want you to release my patient to me." "Well, you'll have to wait for the judge's order." "I'm waiting for no judge's order. He didn't do any crime." And I was standing there. "But doctor, you can wait here till the morning. I'm not going to release." "Okay, officer, let me see your name." "Okay." I said, "I'm calling an ambulance right now." Sometimes it takes wittiness to get your patient where they should be. I said, "I'm calling the ambulance, and I'll tell you what." I said, "If you don't release Craig to me, I will accuse you of depriving me of treating my patient. Right now, I want him out of here." So he lets me out of the patient. I let the patient ride the ambulance till Linden, and then I sent him home. So sometimes you have to do certain things like that. I mean, you go out of your way once in a while. Your patient counts this. Even in Alzheimer's patient, what is the best test of the severity of Alzheimer's? The best test. Don't tell me a mini false time. I'm sorry.
What did you say?
What is the best test of how severe a demented patient is? You know how you always remember your birthdays? Severe Alzheimer's patients do not remember their birthdays. Can you imagine a person who cannot remember his birthday? I thought this all along. All the severe Alzheimer's, I asked them when their birthdays. And I was shocked. I think in 4 weeks ago, there was an issue in Psychiatric Annals of Psychiatry, that the best gauge of the severity of dementia is the patient not knowing his birthday, But I have a very interesting case, a patient who was diagnosed Alzheimer's at the age of 78, okay? We discovered that she became an artist at 78 when she had Alzheimer's. And at the time of her death, at the age of 86, she had cataloged 290 paintings. I mean, beautiful ones, lighthouses, scenes, a profile of her children, and she was demented.
And we have not...
Questions? Any questions for me?
I have a question. Where do you think psychiatry is heading in the future, and in terms of the specialties, the demand, and just the overall role of psychiatry in medicine?
That's another beautiful thing can you hear me? That's another beautiful thing in psychiatry. The biggest frustration I had moving from surgery to psychiatry is I said, I'll never make the income I used to make. But surprisingly, when I was working with a cardiac surgeon who was just out of practice, I actually made more money in the first year than he did, and the first year being a a part of a group in Loyola, okay? But your question was, I'm sorry.
The future of psychiatry.
Okay, the future of psychiatry is just like any specialty. It has become very scientific in terms of research. We have PET scans, SPECT scans. Oh, incidentally, there's a gene test now. There's a gene test if you have a difficult patient, and we just got this in the last month. You're going to do a DNA testing of your patient, take a buccal smear, and they're going to test this by gene access. Access Gene Therapy is the name of the company. And they cross the gene, the medications, and your cytochrome P450, so that they say moderate reaction, good, let's say effects or XR, a 3A4 medication, like 2D6. 8 to 10% of Americans do not have 2D6 isoenzymes, so Paxil, Prozac, Zoloft. Zoloft is still 2C19, so you can't have a patient take those. And this has become specific to that person. So for patients who we say never respond to medications, we have an answer, So more and more tests are being done on the memory, more and more tests are being done on the sleep area, If you were to draw psychiatry as a pie like this, and the center of the pie is still the part of psychiatry, and you can put your rays as though to divide the pie, like to different specialties. Psychiatry, neuropsychiatry, because as you can recognize, it's a medical illness. There is an explanation, lack of modulation of your neurotransmitters. Well, excuse me. I just wanted to say the market in psychiatry, especially child and adolescent, is open. All specialties are loaded with all the other specialties, they have enough people, but not in psychiatry. We cannot handle. Our office, for example, receives 14 intake calls an hour. And there are only 7 psychiatrists in our office, When I began practicing with them, I was seeing 22 patients a day. It's fun. You have control over, if you're a mother who wants to work only 5 hours a day, you can do that. If you don't want to do hospital, you can do that. It's a very good specialty. None of you are going to be, and there is this, you can take part in the neuropsychiatry group, You can do research with Howard Hughes Foundation. I was shocked to realize a doctor in research in Howard Hughes earns $1 million a year. How are you going to spend that? Call me to help you. Okay, I hope that I will find you all practicing.
I'll be passing out.